Good morning and welcome to everyone joining us here in person, Arundel House in London, and those who are following these proceedings virtually. This hearing, beginning today and ending on Monday the 16th of February, will focus on oral evidence from bereaved families. Over the course of this hearing, the family witnesses will share their experiences and recollections of the mental health inpatient care received by their family member. We'll shortly be hearing a statement from counsel to the inquiry, Nicholas Griffin KC, who will speak in more detail about the evidence we'll hear during this hearing. I wish to offer my appreciation to all the family members giving evidence today and over the coming weeks. I understand that providing evidence to a public inquiry may be difficult and upsetting for many people. I wish to remind everybody that emotional support services, overseen by the inquiry's chief psychologist, are available. Anyone who needs assistance during the hearing should please contact my inquiry team, who will help them to access this support. The evidence given by bereaved families is vital to the inquiry's understanding of the key issues and its concerns within the scope of our work, and I'm grateful to them all for their time and effort in engaging with the inquiry. I and my inquiry have recently provided a range of new and helpful information about the structure and work of the inquiry and how this will drive the inquiry forward to its completion. These documents follow on from the one-day virtual hearing on the 8th of December, during which legal representatives addressed me on the draft investigative strategy and a number of procedural matters. And I'm very grateful to the legal representatives for their written and oral submissions. I wish to talk briefly about these recently published documents and draw out and repeat some of the key points arising from them. My response to the submissions made on the 8th of December was published on the inquiry's website on the 26th of January. It provides a clear picture to court participants and others engaging with the inquiry about our important work from now up until the end of the hearings. One of the key messages I took away from the 8th December hearing was the desire for more information about the inquiry's work. So in response, the inquiry has published its updated investigative strategy. Its full title is the Statement of Approach on Investigating Illustrative Cases of Those Who Have Died. And it also outlines the thematic areas we'll be investigating. For anyone interested in the details of the inquiry's work, I would recommend reading the full document, which is available on the inquiry's website. The inquiry has also published a high-level timeline, which provides an overview of the life of the inquiry, including the work up to now and looking forward, provided a diagram setting out in broad terms our inquiry work areas, which are established to meet our terms of reference. It shows how the work areas operate together to drive the inquiry forward. In addition, the inquiry has committed to providing a regular report on the work of the inquiry, which will be published on the inquiry website, and we have made available an indicative hearings plan, which provides more information about how we're arranging our hearing blocks right through to the end of our hearings. As set out in my response to the 8th December submissions, I've decided to make some alterations to the inquiry's hearing timetable. In order to allow sufficient time to undertake our investigative work and collate related evidence, I've directed that the hearing listed in April this year will no longer go ahead. In its place, 2 further hearings will be added to the end of our current hearing blocks. This will take the inquiry's hearings into mid-2027. The first hearing related to systemic issues will now take place in July this year. The change in the timetable is partly needed due to the delay in the inquiry receiving material. This relates to both witness statements and documents. Unfortunately, such delays have impacted the ability of the inquiry to progress investigations and other work as quickly as I would like. My team will continue to work closely with those who are requested to provide information to ensure that this inquiry continues to make progress and that I'm able to meet my terms of reference. I do have statutory powers to compel evidence, and I will use those powers if I consider it necessary to do so. This February hearing, which begins today, will be the final hearing that's dedicated solely to family evidence. Following this hearing, and building on what we've heard from families, the inquiry's focus will move to investigating systemic issues in respect of inpatient care. We will adopt a thematic approach to our investigations. The thematic areas are set out in our investigative strategy. They include, amongst others, sexual safety, neurodevelopmental orders, observations and the use of technology, and child and adolescent mental health services. The thematic areas will be kept under review. The first thematic hearing will be, as I've said, in July, and is intended to focus on the following themes: assessment and admission, observations and the use of technology, co-occurring health conditions and older adult care, sexual safety and safeguarding. More information on the thematic areas the inquiry plans to hear at each future hearing can be found in the indicative hearings plan, which is included in my response to submissions made on the 8th of December. I'm aware that there are some core participant bereaved family members who, for various reasons, have yet to provide a statement to the inquiry about their experiences. I want to reassure those families who wish to engage that I welcome their input in other ways. The inquiry will continue to offer flexibility and support to all those family core participants wishing to contribute. As the hearing is no longer taking place in April, I've asked my team to make that time available for me to consider recorded evidence sessions with bereaved families and with those with lived experience, should they wish me to do so. For many individuals, particularly those who are vulnerable, recorded evidence can be the best way to provide evidence in a less formal environment at a time which is convenient and with appropriate support. After Easter, I will carefully review all statements and recorded sessions and decide whose, when, and what further evidence will be sought from families and those with lived experience. For that reason, I have allocated up to 3 days in either July and or the October 2026 hearings for evidence from bereaved families on areas that I consider would assist me. No family or individual with lived experience will be compelled by me to provide evidence to this inquiry. A decision to provide evidence is a matter entirely for them. I also wish to reassure core participants that all deaths relating to core participants will be included within the illustrative cases and will be investigated by my team. For anyone interested in how the inquiry is going about its work, both now and in the future, I recommend reading the full documents which are available on the inquiry's website. I will continue to keep our processes under review throughout the life of the inquiry and to consider the submissions of core participants and those engaging with it. The inquiry's terms of reference require me and my inquiry team to undertake a thorough investigation of the systemic issues and failings relating to the deaths of mental health inpatients in Essex between 2000 and 2023. Systemic failings in mental health inpatient care have been identified in other parts of the country too, as is evident from the Home Secretary's announcement from the Health Secretary's announcement in December of a statutory inquiry into the mental health services at Tees, Esk and Wear Valleys NHS Foundation Trust. It's important, wherever possible, that my recommendations are national as well as local in scope. By understanding what happened, I can make recommendations to help ensure that the same failings do not happen again in Essex or in the rest of the country. The policy and regulatory landscape in mental health care is developing as this inquiry progresses, and it will continue to develop all the way through to the publication of my final report. My inquiry team will keep a watchful eye on these matters, and my report will be set into the landscape that exists at the time of publication. The inquiry is in a strong position to carry out the remainder of its wide-ranging work with the help of its core participants and witnesses. There's a lot still to do, but by following and implementing the approach set out in the recently published documents that I've talked about today, I'm confident that I'll be able to deliver on my terms of reference and provide a report which contains meaningful recommendations for lasting change. Before I hand over to counsel to the inquiry, I wish once again to thank all those who will be giving evidence to this hearing and have given evidence at previous hearings over the past year and a half. I'm very grateful for their participation, their time, and their candour. I'd also like to thank Kate Ward, who until December was this inquiry's secretary, and Tricia Rich, who will shortly move on from her role as deputy secretary. They have both served this inquiry since its inception as a non-statutory inquiry through its conversion to a statutory inquiry and up to this year. I'm very grateful for their work and their dedication. And I also take this opportunity to introduce the new secretary to the inquiry, Helen Gibson, who is sitting to my right, and the new deputy secretary, Deborah Brown. Both are here today and will be present for much of the February hearing. I know that Helen and Deborah are happy to introduce themselves to those here at Arundel House who may wish to meet them. And I will now hand over to counsel to the inquiry, Nicholas Griffin, KC.
Thank you. This is the Lampard Inquiry's 6th public hearing. Chair, you have referred to the information recently provided by the inquiry, including your response to the submissions made by core participant lawyers in December, and in the inquiry's updated investigative strategy, its statement of approach on investigating illustrative cases of those who have died. The inquiry has also just published a disclosure update. These documents, as you've said, are available on the inquiry website. They are also hyperlinked in the written version of this opening statement, which will shortly go onto the website. Together, they provide an update on the progress of the inquiry's work and information, as you've said, about its future timeline and plans. For that reason, this opening statement will be a short one, in which I focus on the subject of this hearing, rather than repeating what you have said, and matters that have been covered in those recent communications. In July and October of last year, the inquiry heard powerful evidence from the families of those who died whilst receiving mental health care from trusts in Essex. From that important evidence, there emerged a number of common themes and clear lines of inquiry, careful consideration of which is already well underway. This hearing is the last of the three that will be dedicated primarily to hearing evidence from the families and friends of those who have died. Over the coming weeks, the inquiry will hear oral evidence from 13 further families and friends of those who have died. I want to reiterate, as I have done at each of these three bereaved family hearings, that the inquiry is immensely grateful to each of those witnesses for their strength and courage in coming forward to share their accounts. As you have made clear, Chair, the unique experiences, recollections and observations shared by the families and friends of those who have died form a fundamentally important part of the basis for the inquiry's work. Those families and friends, and those that each of them lost, remain at its core. Throughout this hearing, the inquiry will be listening to evidence that may be deeply distressing. For many of those following the inquiry, the experiences of the families we are about to hear from will resonate with the trauma and grief they too have suffered and continue to suffer, or of experiences of mental ill health or mental health inpatient care. Chair, you have just mentioned that emotional support is available for anyone who requires it. The well-being of those participating is extremely important to this inquiry. For those in the room, please know that you are welcome to leave at any point during these proceedings. Each day, present in the room will be 2 support staff from Hestia, an experienced provider of emotional support. The Hestia support staff can be identified by their orange lanyards and scarves. A private room where you can talk to Hestia support staff is available throughout the hearing. Or, if you would prefer, please speak to a member of the inquiry team so that we can make arrangements for support from Hestia for you. We are wearing purple-coloured lanyards. For those watching online, information about available emotional support can be found on the Lampard Inquiry website at lampardinquiry.org.uk and under the Support tab near the top right-hand corner. You can also contact the inquiry team's mailbox on contact@lampardinquiry.org.uk for this information. We want all those engaging with the inquiry to feel safe and supported. I am assisted at this hearing by 3 members of the Counsel to the Inquiry team: Rachel Troop, Priya Malhotra, and Natasha Lloyd-Owen. We have been working closely with bereaved families and friends and with their legal representatives to help to support and prepare them for their evidence. As I have explained at previous hearings, my counsel team works closely with the Lampard Inquiry solicitor team under Catherine Turtle, as well as with the inquiry's secretariat. And Chair, as you've just mentioned, the secretariat is under the new leadership of Helen Gibson. My colleagues and I work for you and are instructed by you, Chair, to assist you in your important task, and we do so independent from all other organisations and individuals. I'd like, once again, to introduce the lawyers who are representing core participants. Representing bereaved families and those with lived experience, Bates Wells with their instructed counsel Sophie Lucas. Bat Murphy with Fiona Murphy, King's Counsel, and Sophie Miles. Bindmans with Brenda Campbell, KC, and Tom Stote. Hodge, Jones and Allen with Elena Misra, KC, Dr. A.K. Burrin, Rebecca Henshaw Keane, Jake Looms and Anahita Moradi. Owen Mitchell, Lee Day and Dighton Pierce Glynn, all with the same counsel, Maya Sikand, KC, and Laura Profumo. And representing core participant organisations, Bat Murphy for Inquest with Anna Morris, KC, and Chiara Bartlam. Brown Jacobson for Essex Partnership, University NHS Foundation Trust, or EPUT, with Eleanor Gray, KC, and Adam Fullwood. Kennedy's for North East London NHS Foundation Trust, or NELFT, with Valerie Charbit. DAC Beechcroft for NHS England, with Jason Beer, KC, and Amy Clark. Government Legal Department for the Department of Health and Social Care, with Anne Studd, KC, and Robert Cohen. Mills and Reeve for the Integrated Care Boards, with Samantha Broadfoot, KC. The Care Quality Commission Legal Services Team for the CQC, with Jenny Richards, KC, and Rachel Sullivan. The Health and Safety Executives Legal Services Division for the HSE, with Tom Green, KC. Bevan Britton for Leo, formerly OxyHealth, with Fiona Scolding, KC. Essex County Council Legal Services for Essex County Council. Essex Police Legal Department for Essex Police. Signet Healthcare Limited Legal Team for Signet Health. Waitmans for British Transport Police. And in-house representation for St Andrews Healthcare. In this hearing, the inquiry will hear about the following people who have died. Georgina Sefton, who died on the 10th of June, 2006, aged 29. We will hear evidence this morning from her mother, Anne Sefton. Daniel Lee Markovich, who died on the 11th of January, 2022, aged 44. We will hear evidence later today from his father, Simon Markovich. Milan Radovanovich, who died on the 25th of July, 2018, aged 25. We will hear evidence from Milan's mother, Anastasia Fuller. Terry Dix, who died on the 16th of April, 2018, aged 46. We will hear evidence from Terry's mother, June Dix. Tilly Ann King, who died on the 8th of March, 2020, aged 21. We will hear evidence from her mother, Lisa Bates. Malgorzata Elżbieta Breczko-Nowak, known as Gosha, who died on the 27th of June 2019, aged 41. We will hear evidence from her friend, Stuart Ringer. Paula Peretti, who died on the 6th of January 2002, aged 46. We will hear evidence from Paula's sister, Samantha Cook. Marion Michel, who died on the 4th of March 2022, aged 56. We will hear evidence from her sister, Karen Michel. Benjamin Morris, who died on the 28th of December 2008, aged 20. We will hear from Benjamin's mother, Lisa Morris. Christopher Mark William Irwin, known to his friends as Teddy, who died on the 2nd of May 2023, aged 34. We will hear evidence from his mother, Sonia Edwards. Glenn Holmes, who died on the 7th of July 2012, aged 19. We will hear evidence from Glenn's sister, Amanda Cook. Rocky Stenning, who died on the 19th of July 2018, aged 26. We will hear evidence from Rocky's sister, Crystal Stenning. The inquiry will also hear evidence in private session from one further family witness to whom you have granted a restriction order. I referred a moment ago to common themes that have arisen. Chair, many of the issues raised by the families and friends we are about to hear from will by now be sadly familiar to those who've been following this inquiry. Echoing the voices of the families we heard evidence from in both July and October. The issues that we will hear about include, but are not limited to, failures adequately to assess and admit, and failures to admit at all. A lack of availability of beds in inpatient units. Inadequate, inappropriate, and in some cases non-existent communication and engagement with families at all stages of assessment, admission, inpatient treatment, and discharge. Failures to plan and coordinate care, allocate staff to any coordination role, or to take any oversight. Inappropriate medication and over-medication, including on discharge in cases where overdose was a known risk. Wholesale failures for vulnerable young people at the crucial period of transition from child and adolescent mental health services, or CAMS, to adult mental health services. Failures in communication and coordination between service providers, including health services, social services, criminal justice system teams, and prisons. Mismanagement of co-occurring physical health conditions and associated mental health difficulties. Failures in communication and coordination between physical and mental health services. Failure to prevent patients from absconding. Repeated failures to adhere to or even to activate missing persons protocols when alerted to patients having absconded or having failed to return from leave. Failures to consider or make appropriate safeguarding referrals, including in the context of sexual safety. Failures to refer for specialist treatment for eating disorders. Mismanagement in relation to all aspects of care for substance misuse. a lack of understanding about and a dismissive approach to addiction more generally, including in the case of self-harm and severe symptoms, rudeness, and a lack of care from staff, clear deficiencies in the control of access to high-risk items, including knives, inadequate and unfocused risk assessments, disorganisation, understaffing, and a lack of continuity in care, appointments that have been relied on cancelled at the very last minute, with no alternative support provided. Poor and inadequate investigations by trusts, and trust defensiveness, and an unwillingness to identify problems, still less to learn from events. In my opening statements for the July and October hearings, I explained that the witness statements provided by each witness giving evidence will stand in full as their evidence. That remains the case for this hearing. As before, each witness will be asked questions by the members of the counsel team I've named. Counsel will help each witness to expand on what they have written and to highlight their gravest concerns about the care and treatment of those they have lost. Those witness statements will then be published on the inquiry's website once each witness has given their evidence. May I say once again, for the avoidance of doubt and for clarity, that copies of the statements that are published will be redacted in line with the inquiry's published approach. That approach sets out 3 main categories where redactions may be applied. Staff names. In order to ensure fairness, these names will be redacted on a temporary basis. Detailed evidence about methods of self-harm, injury or death, particularly where the details could be considered instructional to minimize risk and to protect the public from potential harm, and information that is personal in nature where it's not considered by you, Chair, to be relevant or necessary to be made public. I move now to the timetable for this hearing. In this week and next week, the inquiry will sit on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. In the third week, the inquiry will be sitting on Monday only. That's Monday the 16th of February. The timetable for the hearing can be viewed on the inquiry website. As a general rule, during this hearing, we will begin at 10 a.m. and finish before 4 p.m. each day, though there may be days on which there is an earlier finish. There will be a short break in the mornings and in the afternoons in which teas and coffees will be provided for those who are attending. There will also be a 1-hour break for lunch each day. Those timings will always be subject to change. The inquiry works flexibly in order to support witnesses and may therefore take additional breaks or make other arrangements wherever appropriate. As with all of the inquiry's hearings, it's not necessary to attend in person in order to watch or follow the evidence. Arrangements have been made for call participants and their representatives, when not attending in person, to watch the hearing live on a secure web link. For the wider public wishing to follow remotely, the hearing will be live streamed on the Lampard Inquiry YouTube channel. Please note that, as before, the footage on that channel will be streamed with a 10-minute delay. I'm about to finish my opening remarks. I'll then suggest we rise for 15 minutes before I hand over to my colleague Rachel Troop and we hear from our first witness. Anne Sefton's evidence and that of Simon Markovich later today will inevitably touch on troubling matters. I refer back to what I said at the start of this statement about the support that is available for those present here at Arundel House or watching remotely. Chair, I conclude by reiterating that your inquiry team remains wholly committed to doing whatever it takes to assist you in your scrutiny of the provision of mental health inpatient services in Essex and in formulating recommendations for real long-term change. Chair, I suggest that we rise now and come back for our first witness at 5 to 11.
Thank you.
Thank you.
5 to 11.
Hiya, how are you? So. Thank you for asking.
Look after you, don't
Thank you, Chair. Could we have the witness sworn, please?
What do I have to do?
So you just have to read the card here and just remember to say your name.
Oh, and,
Yeah, and then your name.
all right.
And then just read the rest of the card.
I, Anne Sefton, do solemnly, sincerely and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Okay.
Just a bit tearful.
Thank you, Anne. We're going to take it slowly, and I don't want you to worry about asking me to stop or take a break if that's what you need to do.
Okay.
Right? You'll just tell me.
Okay.
All right. First, I'm going to ask you to give your full name, please.
Anne Sefton.
Thank you. And I want to introduce what we're talking about and what you've come to give evidence about.
Okay.
You are the mother of Georgina Sefton,
Yes.
who died on the 10th of June 2006,
Yes.
when she was 29.
Yes.
At the time of her death, Georgina was an inpatient at the Linden Centre,
Correct.
but had failed to return from leave. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes, that's right.
So, by way of background, you have submitted to the inquiry a witness statement, and you have a copy of it in front of you. Yes?
Yes.
Your witness statement, Anne, is 19 pages long. And if I can ask you to turn, please, to page 18. Which is the very end of it. It's not the last page, in fact, but the second to last
Yes,
page.
statement of truth.
Yes, so just to confirm that your statement is dated the 22nd of December 2025, and that is the page where you made a statement of truth and signed.
Correct.
Thank you. Are you content sitting there now that your statement is true and accurate?
Yes.
Thank you. That witness statement, as you know, because you and I have discussed it, now stands as part of your evidence to this inquiry.
Yes.
And what I don't intend to do over the next hour or so is take you through it line by line. You and I will go through it, but we'll just talk through some of the most important, matters that you want to raise.
Yes.
All right? A couple of things that I think it's important for us to note at the start of you telling us about what happened to Georgina. First of all, you and your husband have long engaged with this inquiry and with the Essex Mental Health Inquiry before we became the Lampard Inquiry.
That's correct.
And you and your husband, when this was a non-statutory inquiry, came and gave an evidence session back in May 2022.
Correct.
Yes? You also, Anne, attended throughout this inquiry's commemorative hearings at Chelmsford in September 2024.
That's right.
And you gave at that time a very moving account about Georgina's life and about the impact of her death on you and your family.
Yes.
And I think, in fact, you and I read that together, if you remember. We sat side by side
Yes.
and together read that account. So the first thing I wanted to note is to tell you again that we are extremely grateful to you for coming forward and giving evidence in all of these different ways. There are a couple of other things I want to note before we go on, and the first is that you tell us in your witness statement that some of the matters we're going to cover are not things that were known to you at the time.
Okay.
Because a lot of the time, during Georgina's care and treatment, you and your husband didn't know what was happening.
No, they didn't tell us anything.
So the period we're going to concentrate on is in 2006. And we'll talk through a little bit about the background to Georgina's mental health worsening and how she came to be at the Linden Centre. But in really brief terms, Georgina had 2 periods of inpatient admission at the Linden Centre.
Yes.
And those were between the 13th of January and the 21st of March 2006.
Yes.
And then she was discharged.
Yes.
Which we'll come to. Then she was back again by the 3rd of April 2006 and was an inpatient of the Linden Centre despite periods of absconding or not returning from leave until the day that she died on the 10th of June 2006.
That's correct.
Quite a bit of the information that you have about Georgina's care and treatment, as I understand it, has in fact come to you from the Trust's serious incident report. Is that right?
Sorry.
The SUI report.
I never got that.
So you have seen it now, but I think the point that we wanted to make is that you did not see any report from the Trust in 2006.
No, we didn't.
Did you know that an investigation was taking place into
No.
the circumstances of
No.
Georgina's death? The first time, I think, that you became aware that such a report existed is when this inquiry told you so.
That's correct, yes.
And the first time that you saw that report was when it was sent to you by this inquiry.
Yes.
And so some of the information that you give us is lifted directly from that Trust report.
That's correct.
One of the other things I think it's important for us to note is that you have spotted that in that report there is a reference to, or the Trust say, that in that report Georgina's care and treatment is well documented. That's the phrase that is used.
I doubt that very much.
You doubt it?
Yeah.
One of the things that you have made clear in your witness statement is that if that is the case, you would like to see those documents.
Yes, I would.
So that you can understand what it is that went wrong and what was happening during that period.
Yes, I would.
The other thing about that report, and we'll come on to this, is that you consider, I think, that in terms of actually addressing the most serious concerns that you have about Georgina's care and treatment, the report is entirely insufficient.
It is.
And we will come on to this, Anne. I think there are aspects of it that you consider to be insulting, frankly.
I do.
Thank you. I'm going to move to take you fairly briefly through the background and the lead up to Georgina being admitted to the Linden Centre.
Okay.
All right. So you tell us in your witness statement that as a teen, Georgina began to self-harm.
Yes.
And that at first it wasn't very severe, but that it did escalate following the death of your son, Tony.
Yes.
And Tony died in a motorcycle accident in May 2003.
That's correct.
In fact, I think it was the 14th of May, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
And that date was, for understandable and obvious reasons, one that would become a trigger for Georgina.
Yes.
Much later.
Yes.
Or as time went on. You've told us in this witness statement, and you told us in your commemorative evidence, a little about the closeness between Georgina and her brother.
Tony, yeah.
And I think one of the things you say, we don't need to go to it, is that quite apart from suffering the impact of his loss, Tony's death represented an enormous loss in particular to Georgina because he was such a source of comfort to her.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. You tell us that after that, after May 2003, you consider that to have been one of the turning points, and that there was quite a marked deterioration in Georgina's mental health after your son's passing.
That's correct.
You also tell us, and I'll cover this fairly briefly, Anne, that at some time thereafter, Georgina became caught up in a relationship that was extremely abusive, both mentally and physically.
Very abusive, yes.
Can I ask you, were there issues of substance abuse, misuse, alcoholism before Tony died?
Yes, there was.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll come to that, I think, because you mentioned those two in your commemorative evidence. I'll come to that. You can identify, obviously, that being in that relationship, and you describe it as something of a toxic cycle. She was sort of unhealthily dependent on that abusive partner.
Yes, she was.
And that obviously worsened the mental health issues she was already suffering.
Yes, it was.
You also tell us, thinking about trigger points and points at which things became worse for Georgina, that her daughter was removed from her care at 2 years old.
Yes.
And you're very clear in your witness statement that that event was the major catalyst that led to a downward spiral. Is that right?
Yes, it was, yeah.
One of the things you say is that after that event, Georgina just could not cope.
She couldn't.
At that time, Anne, was Georgina living at home with you?
Yes, she was.
And as the chair has just mentioned, you do go on to tell us quite a bit about the fact that Georgina suffered over quite a long period from addiction issues.
Yes, she did.
When did those begin? Can you remember?
Oh, I can't remember.
Don't worry.
She was young. I can't remember.
She was young. I wanted to pick up on it because it's not in this witness statement, but one of the things that I remember from your commemorative evidence is that you told us that you had made efforts for her to be admitted to rehab.
That's correct.
Was that before Georgina became a patient at the Linden Centre in 2006?
Yes, it was.
And one of the things you told us that I just wanted to ask you about was that one of the rehab units, and I'm not sure you identified it, said that they could have a place for her, but that first she would need to be clean of drugs.
Yes.
Tell us about that, what you can remember.
They basically said she had to be clean for, was it 3 months before they'd take her in. So I said, what's the point of a rehab centre?
Yes.
For 3 months, she's got to be clean. You need to help her.
Yes. Because
and
the purpose
weren't prepared to do it.
They weren't prepared to do it?
No.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Because to your mind, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but to your mind, the whole purpose of entering rehab is to get
help her.
clean.
Yes.
And to help her to do that.
That's right.
Can you remember when that was, compared with January 2006, when things had got bad enough that you approached?
I really can't remember.
That's all right. It doesn't
sorry.
matter. No, I promised you it's not a memory test, and it really isn't. So you also tell us, just setting out the background, that George... Yes, of course.
Was that a private rehab centre? Can you recall?
No, it wasn't private, was it? No, it was to do with NHS.
So it was...
But they turned around and said she had to be clean. So I said, well, look, if you're a rehab centre, why has she got to be clean? You're supposed to help her.
And you'd found that through your GP, had you?
I think so. No, did we find it? Did we find it? Oh, we took her there ourselves. We found out this place was a rehab centre, and we took her there.
Yes.
And that's what they come out with. Couldn't believe it.
So you physically took her there to ask them if she could be admitted there?
Yes, we did.
And the response was no?
Yeah, twice we took her there.
All right, Thank you. That's really helpful. You also tell us in your witness statement that Georgina made a number of attempts to take her own life.
Yes, she did.
And I know, and we're going to come to it, that in particular on the 9th of January 2006, she made an attempt to take her life, and that is what led you to the Linden Centre. Can you remember, Anne, before that, so before the 9th of January 2006, had she made attempts to take her life?
Yes, I think she did.
Yeah.
I have to keep looking at her dad.
That's all right. That's all right. He's helping us. If you could look, please, I just want to show you what I'm looking at page 2 of your statement, and at the bottom paragraph, the last one on the page, which is paragraph 9.
Yes.
You tell us there that Georgina suffered with a complex set of mental disorders, but that she wasn't formally diagnosed until she got to the Linden Centre.
Yeah, they said she was borderline.
Yes.
I can't remember what they said.
That's all right.
Borderline
You've
something.
recorded it here. So what you say is, I believe she had bipolar, borderline
That's right.
personality
disorder. That's it.
and depressive disorder. Can you tell me, Anne, just, it doesn't matter particularly, but were you aware of those diagnoses being given at the time?
No.
So is this something you've learnt from the report much later?
Yeah,
Because we're talking about 20 years ago now.
we are.
So is it the case that during the time that Georgina was a patient of the Linden Centre, and in all the years following her death, you had not known of any formal diagnosis?
They didn't tell us anything. I tried to help, but
Yes.
they didn't seem interested.
All right.
That's the impression I got anyway.
Yes, we'll come back to that. Because one of the things you tell us, actually, we might do that now. One of the things you tell us, and this runs through the whole of your witness statement, is that you as a family, Georgina was an adult, so during the period we're talking
Yeah.
about, when we're not talking about a child, and from January to June 2006, she was 29 years old. Nonetheless, she had a supportive family who were trying to take care of her.
Always.
Yes. And you tell us that at no stage were you kept in the loop as to what was happening with her.
The only thing I ever got was a telephone call. It was asking me where she was.
Yes. We'll come on to that. So you tell us, we don't need to go to it, I don't think. I don't want to keep flicking backwards and forwards through
No.
the witness statement. But you were never included, you must correct me if this is wrong, you were never included in any plans for her care.
No,
You were never told of any diagnosis.
no,
You were never told what medication she was taking.
no.
You had no input into her care and treatment.
They didn't tell us anything, to be honest. Don't know why.
And when you visited, did anybody approach you and ask you about her or tell you?
No, nothing. All they done was walk past. We was in a room. They kept walking past the room. I think they were sort of listening.
And do you ever recollect actually asking directly for information about her and not getting
I
it?
don't know whether I directly asked. I can't remember. But there was a lot of staff on, but no one ever sort of came in the room and said anything. The only thing I get was the phone calls. Where's Georgina?
Yes. Yes, we'll come to those. And I think one of the other things when we come to talk a little bit about the environment at the Linden Centre, one of the things you've said is that although there were staff around, often they were in the office.
Oh, talking with each other.
Talking with each other.
Yeah.
Yes. And not really engaging as
No,
far as
not with
you
the
could see,
patients,
with
no.
the patients or with you.
No.
Just going back for a moment to the diagnoses that you didn't know about at the time, one of the other things you tell us is that you have learned that occasionally it appears to have been recorded that Georgina suffered from psychotic symptoms.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And one of the things that the trust report tells us is that at times Georgina reported, whilst she was an inpatient, that her deceased partner was speaking to her and telling her to take
Kill
her own
herself,
life.
yeah.
That is not something that you were aware of at the
No.
time. All right, thank you. And I think, is this right? You came to know of the Linden Centre because in the aftermath of your son's death, you yourself suffered from a very deep depression.
Depression.
You sought help and received help from a particular psychiatrist at the Linden Centre.
Yeah. Dr. A.
Dr. A, yes. As you know, we're not mentioning staff names during this part of the evidence, so we'll refer to him as Dr. A. I'm sorry, I realise it feels a little bit sort of cloak. It feels a bit odd.
Very good doctor.
Very good doctor.
Yeah, very
tell
good.
Tell us
Thorough.
about that.
He was thorough.
Yes. And you felt well taken care of
By him, yes.
and well supported.
By him, yes. Only by him.
After Georgina made an attempt to take her life on the 9th of January 2006, is this right? You decided that having had that experience yourself with Dr. A at the Linden Centre, you would take Georgina there in the hope that he would also be able to help her.
I spoke to him first, but
Yes.
and he said, bring her.
Yes.
I'll see her.
Yeah, so you called him.
Yes.
And as a result, she was reviewed by Dr. A on the 12th of January 2006.
Yes.
And then a decision was made to admit her the next day.
Yes.
Can you remember which ward or unit at the Linden Centre Georgina was first admitted to?
I can't remember the names of them. There was a few.
Yes,
I can't remember the names. I'm sorry.
that's all right. As I said, I promised it's not a memory test. I think there were possibly a couple of different wards that Georgina went between, and we'll come to it, but I think she also spent a short period in the psychiatric intensive care unit.
I don't know.
We'll come to it. I think you do identify that, but that possibly has come to you from the report. In general terms, Anne, before we get into the detail, do you consider, we've set out the 2 periods of inpatient admission that Georgina had, did you see any improvement over that period?
None. None
At
at
any
all.
stage?
No.
When Georgina was first admitted on the 13th of January, you tell us that she showed very little improvement.
That's right.
And you also say, knowing as we do, that Georgina had problems with addiction, and those, I think, were drugs and alcohol. If you want to look at it, Anne, I'm at the moment on page 3 of your witness statement at paragraph 12. You don't have to follow it, but just so that you know where I'm up to. So you tell us there that despite her admission,
Yes.
she continued to drink alcohol
Yes.
and her mood remained very, very low.
Very much the same, yeah.
And you say that her treatment had to be escalated and she was then detained under Section 3.
Yeah.
So she moved from being a voluntary patient to a patient under formal detention. Again, I want to check with you, did you know that at the time that she had been detained under Section 3? Did she tell you that?
I can't remember that either. I'm sorry.
No, please don't apologise. That's all right.
It's a long time ago.
Of course it was. I can't remember what I did last Thursday. I'm asking you things that happened 20 years ago, so please don't apologise. If you look at paragraph 13, you say that, and I think this may have come to you from the records, because in that first line of paragraph 13, you say, her mental stability then apparently did improve following treatment in the ward's ICU. So there had obviously been a move into the intensive care unit, and when you say apparently did improve, am I right in thinking that you didn't see any improvement?
I didn't see an improvement, no.
And you tell us that by March, Georgina was granted leave for 2 days.
Yeah, I found that difficult to understand, being that she was in such a state.
Yes. Tell us, so she had been admitted on the 13th of January, and by March, clinicians had seen fit to grant leave.
Yes.
How often were you able to visit her in that period of admission?
I could actually visit her whenever I felt like it, really.
Yes.
But
And how often did you see her in that period? How often did you go to the Linden Centre?
I can't even remember that.
No, that's all right. Do you think it was regularly?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So weekly?
Every two weeks, maybe.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 or 3 days.
Oh, sorry, 2 or 3 days,
Okay.
Rachel. Sorry.
No, that's all right.
My memory ain't what it used to be.
That's all right. It just helps me to understand how frequently you were there to get an impression of the ward. So it helps us to understand when we come on to the things...
She wasn't, sorry to stop
No,
you.
go ahead.
She wasn't in the ward.
No.
She used to come into a room, and I used to sit in the room.
Yes.
And she used to come in there and talk to me.
Yes.
But all the staff would be in a separate room. You never really... I mean, I could see them from way back.
Yes.
But they never really came in the room.
And how do you remember her being during that period? You've told us that you hadn't seen any improvement.
No, I hadn't.
So by March, if you were visiting every 2 or 3 days from mid-January until March, as far as you were concerned, her mood remained very low.
Exceptionally low, yes.
Did Georgina talk openly with you during those visits about how she was feeling and how
Yeah, she spoke to me, but other patient... Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Other patients in the room would only be listening.
Yeah.
So she wasn't too amused by that, because you didn't get a private room.
I see.
It was like everyone was in there, if you know what I mean, apart from the
Yes.
staff.
Yes. So all the patients and their visitors were in the same room,
Yes.
and your impression is that she felt constrained by that to
Yeah.
talk openly with you.
She didn't like it.
No, about such personal, private matters.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yes. You also tell us that on the 14th of March 2006, if you want to see it, it's in paragraph 13 on page 3. Georgina was aware that that was the date that was scheduled for her daughter's adoption hearing.
I think so. I can't remember that date, however.
No, that's all right. And you say there she was still utterly beside herself
Oh, she was in a terrible state.
about losing her daughter.
Yeah.
So if she knew of that date, presumably that date was itself a trigger point
Yeah,
for her.
it was leading up to the court hearing, but she was in a really bad state.
Yes. Nonetheless, what you tell us is that on that same day, so the 14th of March, her Section 3 treatment order under the Mental Health Act ended. And 7 days later, on the 21st of March, Georgina was discharged from the Linden Centre.
I didn't understand that either, to be honest.
No.
Such a short period of time.
Could you tell us, we've discussed a little the fact that you as a family were not consulted about any aspects of Georgina's care and treatment. When did you, in relation to this discharge on the 21st of March, can you remember when you first came to learn that that was happening? Were you told in advance?
No, Georgina said she was going out.
So she called you, or she told you while you were visiting?
I went up there and she said, "Oh, I'm going out to meet a friend." I went, "Oh, right." I didn't understand that either, because they let her out after all this.
Yes. So, do you know when Georgina was discharged on the 21st of March 2006, do you know, and I think the answer might be no, but I just want to check with you, what risk assessments took place or what checks took place before she was released?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Do you know, I'm aware from your witness statement that Georgina had and went on to have some periods of homelessness. Do you know whether she had an address to be discharged to?
No, the only place she could go was with me and her dad.
But nobody asked you about that?
Nobody asked us, nobody told us. We didn't know anything.
And where did she go on the 21st of March?
Don't know. I don't know.
One of the things you tell us in your witness statement is that part of the reason that that discharge was so shocking to you was that she was no better.
No.
She was still using alcohol and drugs
Yes.
in the Linden Centre.
Yes.
And during periods of leave. And the words you use, Anne, are that they decided to release her back into the very chaos she had been begging for help to escape.
Yes, that's correct.
As it turns out, not very much later, she was readmitted to the Linden Centre on the 3rd of April 2006.
Yes.
And I just want to cover this with you because there is a section here where you were slightly involved, because as I understand it, and you must tell me if I have this wrong, in early April 2006, Georgina was in a homeless shelter.
Right.
And what you tell us in your witness statement is that you recall going there on the 2nd to visit her at the homeless shelter.
Yes.
And I think there was some incident where another resident of the shelter said something to you.
It was abusive.
Was abusive to you.
And she attacked him.
Georgina attacked him.
Yes.
And you were present when that took place.
Yes, I was.
Georgina was acting to protect you, I think.
You think correctly. She was trying to protect me.
Yes. Police attended and Georgina was arrested.
That's correct, yes.
There's some suggestion in the records that there was then an allegation that she had assaulted a police officer.
I don't know about that.
All right. So we'll look at it actually. If you take a look, please, can you turn to page 4? And to paragraph 16, which is the 3rd paragraph down.
Yeah.
Now, I'm conscious, Anne, we're taking this from the SI report, but what it tells us in the last few lines, this is directly quoting from that report, that on arrival at the Linden Centre, she told staff that she had recently been evicted from her hostel, had been involved in a fracas and allegedly assaulted a policeman, although she had no memory of this. Now, that is important because when Georgina was admitted to the Linden Centre on the 3rd of April 2006, in spite of that information, she was assessed, you tell us, as not being a danger to herself or others.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
No, to you that makes no sense.
None at all.
She had been arrested for being involved in a physical fight with someone.
That was the fellow that said something to me. I can't even remember what he said, but he was abusive.
Yes. So to you, it makes no sense to then, just a day later, to say she doesn't present a danger to herself or anyone else.
No, it don't make no sense at all.
Yes. I think when Georgina went back to the Linden Centre on the 3rd of April, she was not under section. She was admitted as a voluntary patient. Is that right?
Apparently.
You tell us, I think, that she knew herself at
She
that
wasn't
time
well.
that she
She
wasn't.
wasn't well.
What did she say to you about that? Can you remember?
No.
It's all right. One of the things I think that happened in this second inpatient stay at the Linden Centre is that you either knew at the time or have become aware that Georgina repeatedly was able to self-harm.
Yes.
Those incidents that we'll come to, can you recall whether you were aware of those at the time or whether that is something you've learnt later?
I learnt later because there was one incident where she asked for a razor to shave her legs in the bath.
Yes.
And she actually cut all her wrists and had to be rushed to A&E for 23 stitches in her arm.
Yes. When that happened, Were you told at the time, did someone call you and say your
No.
daughter's in A&E?
No, I think Georgina called me.
From A&E or later?
I can't remember whether it was from A&E or what, but she said, Mum, I'm in trouble, what's the matter? And then she said, I'm in A&E.
Yes.
I mean, 23 stitches, they gave her an open razor knowing she was a self-harmer.
Yes.
I don't understand that at all.
Thank you. So she had 23 stitches on that occasion. When Georgina told you that she had, well, let's take it in order. So you tell us in your witness statement that just 4 days after being admitted, on the 7th of April, she made some cuts to her right arm with 3 deep lacerations
Yes.
that were so bad that she had to go to A&E at Broomfield. Am I right in thinking that nobody called you to tell you about that?
You're right, no one called me.
There was then the incident you've just told us about where she asked a staff member for a razor to shave her
Shave her
legs
legs.
and was given one.
Yes,
You know about that from Georgina herself.
yes, I do.
And that's the occasion on which she attended to have 23 stitches.
That's right.
I think I know the answer to this, Anne, so I'm sorry if I'm asking you
No, that's all
stupid
right.
questions.
Okay.
But as far as you're aware, was there any purpose in Georgina being allowed a razor? Was it part of some plan or therapy?
I couldn't tell you what they were thinking. I really couldn't tell you. I don't understand what they were thinking, but I couldn't tell you what they were thinking.
Because by that stage, very obviously, Georgina cutting herself was a known and obvious risk.
Yeah, it was true. She'd done it for years.
And you also tell us that also in early April, a friend of Georgina's, who was another patient on the ward,
Died, yeah.
died.
Yeah.
And that too caused a significant deterioration.
She was a good friend of Georgina's, but when she died, Georgina was devastated.
Yes. She went to the funeral, I understand.
She had to beg him to go to the funeral. She went to the funeral with, I think someone from the Linden Centre went with her.
Yes.
That's all I know, but she was in a really bad way with it.
Yes. Were you still visiting her at that time?
Well, was I still?
Visiting Georgina?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
With the same regularity, so every 2 to 3 days?
I would never stop visiting Georgina. She was my daughter.
Of course. What you know now, and this has come from the Trust's report, is that after her friend's funeral, an assessment was carried out and it was decided that Georgina was at an increased level of risk and she was put onto one-to-one observations.
Apparently.
Now, you tell us a little bit about that later in your statement. The one-to-one observations, Georgina told you, were no such thing.
No.
Tell us what she told you about that, what actually took place.
I don't think she ever saw anyone one-to-one.
No.
She just used to go in her room and shut the door and that was it.
Yes.
Which lowered her mood again. So
Because she was isolated or she was alone.
I think she felt alone and isolated.
Yes. You also know from the records that we've noted, obviously, that the 14th of May is the anniversary of your son Tony's death,
That's correct.
and that there was another incident of self-harm for Georgina on the 15th of May.
Yeah. She was there when her brother died.
Yes. In general terms, to you, I think, and I don't want to use my own words, I want you to use yours, but it's just unfathomable that someone who is expressing thoughts of suicide and is so low could be able, in an inpatient unit, to harm themselves so repeatedly and so very badly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the Linden Centre knew about... I don't know whether they knew about Tony, but no one came with her from the Linden Centre when her brother was dying, because he had the accident and then the following day he died.
Yes. One of the other things I'm keen to talk through with you is that what you tell us is that Georgina absconded from the ward so frequently that the way that you describe it is that she used it like a revolving door. She was in and out essentially whenever she felt like it.
The only thing I knew is when the Linden Centre phoned me up and said, "Do you know where Georgina is?" And I went, "Why would I know? You're supposed to be looking after her." I couldn't understand it.
So is this right? In the whole of that period, the only calls you ever received from the Linden Centre
Asking me where she was.
were to ask you if you knew where she was?
Yes.
Do you have any idea, looking back now, and I know it was a very long time ago, how many times that happened?
Well, quite a few. It was quite a few.
Yes. And presumably on each occasion, that made you question what care was being taken of her.
Of course. Yes.
Can you recall whether you ever spoke to anyone about that, whether you ever tried to approach a member of staff and say, "What is happening here? Why do I keep getting these calls?"
No, the only time I spoke to him was over the phone and said,
Yes.
"Why are you asking me? You're supposed to be looking after her. You should know where she is.
Yes.
Why should I tell you where she is when I don't even know?"
How could I know?
Yeah.
Yes, I understand. One of the things you tell us is that when you would say to them in these calls, "Well, hang on a moment, how would I know where Georgina is? You are supposed to be looking after her." You say here, instead of answering me, they would just cut the phone.
Put the phone down, yeah.
So literally the phone would be put down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
To me, they wasn't interested. They wasn't really interested. Of course, they wouldn't have put the phone down, would they?
I see. We know from the report that Georgina absconded on the 18th, or left the ward on the 18th of May 2006, and again on the 20th of May 2006. One of the things you tell us is that Georgina continued to struggle with her very serious addiction issues throughout that period,
Correct.
and that she would often use drugs or alcohol whilst out on leave or having absconded,
Yes.
would return to the ward and test positive for drugs.
Apparently so.
That isn't something you knew at the time.
No.
And as a result, you don't know whether any changes to her care planning or any particular assessments were carried out to assist her with those addiction issues.
I didn't know anything about her care plan. I
Thank
wasn't informed.
And there came an incident, I think, on the 20th of May 2006, when Georgina was away from the ward. She had either left the ward or failed to return after a short period of leave.
Mm-hmm.
And she reported to you afterwards that she had been sexually assaulted whilst out on leave.
Yeah, she had to go to a rape centre.
Yes. Now, when Georgina spoke to you about that incident, to be clear, so that had happened away from the ward,
Yes.
but Georgina was at the time an inpatient of the Linden Centre.
She was supposed to be.
Yes. You told her to report that matter to the police.
To the police, yes.
And did she?
Yes.
As far as you know, you tell us here the police opened an investigation, but nothing ever came from it.
I've never been told nothing, no.
You went with her to
To
a
the
rape
rape
centre.
centre. Yeah, I met her there.
As far as you are aware, had Georgina informed staff at the Linden Centre about what had happened to her?
I don't know. I gather she did.
You gather she did. Where do you gather that from, Anne? From
I
Georgina?
can't remember the conversations.
No, that's fine. But can you recall whether Georgina told you that she had told staff about it?
I think so, because she was actually found in a park
Yes.
with no undergarments on.
Yes.
So she partly remembered the attack,
Yes.
but I don't know.
No, I
To be fair.
understand. In any event, it was you that accompanied her.
I went there to meet her at the rape centre, yes.
And it was you that took her back to the Linden Centre?
Yes, it was.
Can you remember how she seemed at that time?
Low, very, very low mood. She was actually crying
Of course.
because of what had happened.
Yes.
Because where they were doing swabs and that, she kept saying, "Mum, Mum, Mum," and crying.
Yes. But you were there with her?
Yes.
Sorry to go back to this, but you went with her to the rape crisis.
She was there.
She was there.
She went there, and I got a phone call from her,
Yes.
and I went to the rape centre where it was,
Right.
on Springfield Road. I remember that.
Okay. So you
And I went upstairs to where they were examining her.
Yes.
She
So-
wasn't happy about that.
No. So you don't know that the staff were told by her or by you that that's where you were going?
No, I don't know, in fairness.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
No, not at all. Again, am I right in saying that you don't know whether or not any kind of safeguarding referral was made?
I don't know.
No. We come then to the 27th of May, so less than a week after that incident, and you have learnt from the records that Georgina's observations were reduced to general observations.
Well, no one was looking in on us, so I'll gather that was the case.
Yes. What did Georgina say to you, if you can remember, about her relationships with staff or their treatment of her?
She didn't seem to think they cared, because they were never in with her, never asking her any questions. Just in that room, there was a separate room, and they were all, it was like a mother's meeting. It was all in there.
All the staff together?
Yeah, there was quite a lot of them going in there, but I can't remember.
No, that's all right. As far as you're aware, did anyone sit with her and talk things through? Was there any kind of attempt at any sort of talking therapy?
Not to my knowledge. Not in front of me either.
No. We know from the records that on the 30th of May, there was a review. A review was carried out, and a decision was taken that Georgina would be discharged from her detention under Section 3. And you've put a section of the Trust's report into your witness statement that says as follows: no psychotic symptoms, was mentally stable, no suicidal thoughts, and was not depressed. And then this sentence: she had no regrets regarding her inappropriate actions over the weekend. I think that's a reference to another absconding from the ward.
I'm sorry you see me laughing. It's because of what you're saying. I can't understand it.
No.
As a normal person, I can't understand it.
Yes. Tell me, it may seem obvious, but tell us why. I know that you're not laughing in humour, Anne. You're laughing because it's so ludicrous to you.
Well, of course it is, yeah.
What I'm reading. But tell us, if you can, why.
What do you mean, why?
Why is it... What is so ludicrous about it to you? I know that it's an obvious question.
They're saying this and that happened. I never see anything happening.
Yes.
So I don't know where they're coming from.
As far as you were aware, it was absolutely not the case that she was not depressed.
She was depressed.
Yes.
Very depressed.
You say that the decision to discharge her from her Section 3...
I can't understand that.
No.
Especially she was a self-harmer, like,
Yes.
and different things she'd done whilst being in an Linden Centre.
Yes.
For instance, she tried to hang herself in the Linden Centre, in the bathroom, with a towel.
How do you know about that?
Georgina told me herself. She said, "Mum, I've done a terrible thing," and she went on about it. She started crying
Yes.
about it, and she told me.
As far as you know...
None of the staff told me, sorry.
No,
None
go
of the
ahead.
staff told me.
No. Do you know whether staff knew about that incident?
Well, they must have known about it because they undone her.
She told you that they had, in fact, undone a ligature and
Yeah. Yeah.
taken her down. I see. Do you know whether that was in her first period as an inpatient or the second?
I can't remember.
Thank you. Leave was granted again, and you tell us that she left the ward on the 1st of June, came back on the 2nd at about lunchtime, and this is from the records, and tested positive for both cocaine and opiates.
Yeah,
So very obviously the addiction issues were still in play.
of course, yes.
She left again on the 3rd of June and returned. And this is where you say, as I have said, she was able to use the Linden Centre like a revolving door, and none of them seemed to care.
No, plus the patients were taking in drugs and hiding them in a ceiling, you know, ceilings that you can push up. I can't
Yes.
what are they called?
With the tiles that you can
Yeah,
push up.
yeah. They used to push them up and hide the drugs in there.
Tell me how you know about that.
Georgina told me.
So she told you that patients were bringing
In drugs and hiding them.
drugs into the ward,
Yeah.
including Georgina, I think.
Including Georgina, yes.
And she told you where they were being hidden.
Yes. I told the staff. What they done about it, I do not know.
Ah. How many times was it just once that you approached staff to say drugs are being brought onto the ward?
I didn't actually tell the staff. I told Dr. A.
I see.
Dr. A, who you mentioned there,
Yes.
I told him,
Yes,
and he informed the staff.
I see. So did you tell Dr. A, the psychiatrist, about that while Georgina was still an inpatient?
Yes, I did.
And you told him where those drugs
Yes,
were being hidden?
yes, I said I'd take him down and show him where what part ceiling tile
Yes,
was being moved.
I
But they
see.
knew what to do. The patients knew what to do.
I see. And as far as you can remember, Anne, what was his reaction?
He was disgusted,
Yes.
absolutely disgusted.
As far as you know, after you telling him about it, did anything change? Did that stop?
No, nothing changed.
One of the things you say to us about the ward environment is that, and again, I don't want to put it in my words, but there were a lot of like-minded people in terms of other patients with addiction issues,
Yes,
and that you can see that that might be helpful in some circumstances, but that where the patients are basically left to their own devices, the opposite happens.
I think you got it right there. They were left to their own devices,
Yes.
which I wasn't happy with.
It's, again, a very obvious question, but tell us why. What was the effect on Georgina?
Well, she didn't seem to care either.
Yes.
She just got on with it.
Yes. And her addiction issues didn't improve.
Not at all.
Her mental health issues didn't
No,
improve.
not at all.
I want to talk a little, please, about the last time that Georgina left the ward.
Okay.
What we know, and this is from the records, I want to make clear all of this you have learnt afterwards.
Yes.
Georgina left the ward on Friday, the 9th of June.
I went to see her that morning.
I see. And how was she that morning?
She seemed to be in a good mood. She'd been out and bought some new clothes to go in to London. Because I said, oh, you look lovely.
Yes.
All in white she was.
And she told you, I think, that she was going to see a friend in London.
Yes, she did. She didn't mention the name of a friend,
No.
but she said she was going to visit a friend.
Yes.
I thought she was coming back, obviously.
Yes, of course. So we know from the records that she left the ward at about 2 p.m. and told staff that she was going to London.
Yes.
She wasn't asked where she was going.
No.
Or who with.
Or the address, nothing.
Or anything about a return time.
No.
She didn't return.
No.
And what we know is that by 8:05 p.m., the staff nurse coming onto the evening shift noted that Georgina was not on the ward.
Yeah.
And the notes tell us that at that time, staff were not unduly concerned, as Georgina had done similar things in the past.
Apparently so.
Yes. And it's recorded that the staff nurse at that time considered that there was no indication that there should be any raised concerns or immediate risks.
Apparently.
Yes. Your view on that is what?
I think they're a load of rubbish, the Linden Centre. Sorry,
That's all right.
they are rubbish. No child should go into the Linden Centre. I've sat and watched people dying there still, young men, young women.
Yes.
It's been in the newspapers, it's been on the TV.
Yes.
The Linden Centre should be closed down.
And in fact, that's one of the recommendations you list towards the end of your statement.
Yes.
So we'll come to that. We know that by the following day, the 10th of June, Georgina had obviously still not returned to the ward.
Yeah.
And at 6:05 a.m, a nurse recorded that the duty doctor should be informed that she remained absent.
That was a long time, wasn't it, after she'd been missing?
Yes,
A long time.
yes.
Day before she went missing.
At 1 p.m, a charge nurse recorded that Georgina has not yet returned and the duty doctor has not yet been informed.
Yes.
Staff tried her mobile phone at 3:15 p.m, but there was no answer.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at that time you think that Dr. A himself advised that the missing persons protocol should be activated.
Deactivated, yes.
So, and in fact that didn't happen until 5:30 p.m. So we're now 27 hours or so after Georgina had left the ward.
That's correct.
What you now know is that less than an hour after that, the ward received a call to say that Georgina had been
I
found.
didn't know that.
No.
All I know is a policeman knocked on my door.
And that was in the evening on the 10th of June.
That's correct.
I think, Anne, it was in fact the same officer
That
who
told
had
me about Tony, yes.
come to notify you of Tony's death.
Yes.
At that time, did you have any contact whatsoever from the Linden Centre?
None.
Between that date and now, have
No.
you had any contact from the
No,
Linden Centre?
none.
Am I right in thinking that not only did you not know that an investigation was taking place,
No, I didn't know.
but that you didn't, there was no letter of condolence?
Nothing.
I know that there was an inquest into Georgina's death and that the verdict recorded was one of misadventure.
I don't think the coroner was too happy with what he wrote.
Yes. Well, say that again, I'm so sorry. He wasn't too happy with...
There was a nurse that was supposed to be one-to-one with Georgina.
Yes,
I don't know her name.
that's all right. We
But
wouldn't say her name
apparently,
anyway.
what they'd done is they moved her to Scotland. So he said, she's out of my jurisdiction, I can't bring her back.
Yes.
So, I mean, I understand the judge. I felt sorry for him, really, because he wanted to question her. But
Yes.
he couldn't because they couldn't bring her back.
Yes, I understand. What the coroner recorded is this: Georgina Pauline Ann Sefton died as a result of misadventure, the risk for which was not managed by a detailed care plan for her leave from the ward.
Yeah,
And from that, I think you take that the coroner was making an adverse comment about the fact that a proper risk assessment had not been carried out.
that's correct, yes.
I think you wish that the coroner had gone a little further, and you would have liked him to see, you would have liked to see him talking about the other areas of incompetence that you have identified. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Yes. I think I know the answer to this too. In the aftermath of Georgina's death, were you or your family offered any kind of support?
No,
You were contacted by no agency or organisation?
none at all. Excuse me.
And before we go on to the things that you would like to say about recommendations for change, I want to talk through a little bit with you about the ward environment and the things that you have identified as the most serious concerns. We have covered them, obviously, but I think in general, this is a phrase that you use in your witness statement, it's your view that the Linden Centre itself as an environment posed a danger to Georgina.
Yes, I do think that.
In what ways? Tell us a little about that.
Because they didn't go in and talk to her. They didn't ask her what she
Yes.
was thinking or feeling.
Yes.
It wasn't that one-to-one as they said it was. That's incorrect. In fact, they're liars.
Yes. You identify obvious issues with security and safety.
Yes.
You've told us about Class A drugs being brought onto the ward and hidden.
I mean, how could the patients do that if the staff were checking them correctly, which they wasn't?
Yes.
So, and all the patients knew where to go and get them drugs in that ceiling. They knew.
Yes.
They used to crawl up the side of the room.
Yes.
We call it a room. It was a hallway to get to the drugs.
I understand. You identify, obviously, and we've spoken about this, not only access to sharp and dangerous items, but patients being given blades.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they gave her a razor blade, considering she was the person that used to cut herself.
Yes.
Self-harm.
Yes.
I can't understand that at all.
You identify, and I think you think what is at the basis of this is a lack of training what it shows is a lack of training in Georgina being able to abscond so frequently from the ward.
Well, obviously they didn't care because it would be written there, I suppose. They didn't care.
As far as you're aware, at no stage after a period of absconsion or not returning from leave was another risk assessment carried out and
No.
increased levels of supervision, for example, imposed. That just didn't occur.
Nothing happened, no.
She would go off again the next day.
Yeah, when she wanted to.
Yes. The other thing that you tell us, and we've covered this a little bit, is that not only were you and your husband not involved in or told about what was happening with Georgina or how she was or any aspect of her care and treatment, but nobody asked you about her background and what had happened in her life.
Nobody asked nothing. I think the staff are very, they're not trained. They're not trained correctly.
Because in your mind, Anne, is this right? In order to help someone who is as unwell as Georgina was, you would need to know about that person.
Of course you would, yeah.
You would need to know what has happened in their lives, what are the things that have caused them trauma, for example.
And there was several things that caused trauma to Georgina, several things.
Yes. Nobody, in your view, looked at the overall picture and thought, hang on, this is getting worse.
I don't think they did, no.
Yes.
Not that they ever voiced anything to me. The only thing they ever voiced to me is, do you know where she is?
Yes.
On the telephone.
One of the things that I think is most painful to you are aspects of the serious incident report that you received from this inquiry that speak about Georgina and her addiction issues in a way that it's insulting to you, I think. Let me read it to you and you can tell us rather than me doing it. One of the things that is said here is that during her stay on the unit, she had periods of being settled and utilising her care plan, together with taking her prescribed medication. Staff were encouraging her to use different coping strategies.
I don't know if they were.
Did Georgina ever mention to you that that was happening?
No.
In fact, I think she said to you that she felt that they were not involved in any aspect of her care.
She was quite close to me.
Yeah.
And she used to tell me quite a bit, obviously, as you know, about the drugs and the ceiling, etc.
Yes.
But she never ever mentioned anything like that to me.
No. The report also says this: Georgina was addicted to illicit drugs and had made some inroads into dealing with her addiction. However, she found the self-discipline required and the motivation very difficult to maintain. Now, what you say about that part of the report is what inroads can be being spoken about?
She should be helped,
Yes,
not hindered the way she was.
yes.
And them all in a little room chatting.
Yes.
She should have been helped. She wasn't.
The report goes on to say, in contrast, Georgina had to follow her feelings, and this resulted in her absconding from the ward, being abusive to staff, self-harming, using illicit drugs and drinking alcohol. And following those events was normally remorseful for her behaviour. Now, this is the part of the report which I think is most insulting to you. Am I right, Anne, in thinking that that's because she was an addict? She needed assistance.
She needed help.
And the way that this is phrased, I think, to you, looks like someone saying, oh, well, she preferred to go with her feelings on that day.
Exactly. I mean, different things they write, I don't understand why they write these things, because these things, I'm just a normal person, I'm a mum.
Yes.
And to me, it didn't make sense at all. Like, they released her, and they should never have released her. She was in such a state, she should never, and a self-harmer.
Yes.
I mean, fancy asking for a razor and they give her it. 23 stitches later,
Yes.
she's in A&E.
When you see this kind of wording in the report, and maybe that you don't think this, I'm interested, do you think that the fact of Georgina's addiction issues was sort of concentrated on too much by clinicians at the expense of actually treating her underlying mental health issues?
I think she should have been helped all the way.
Yes.
They should have spoke to her about help. As I say, they didn't speak to her at all. I don't know why.
In general terms, and you will tell me if this is wrong, in your mind there are clear areas of incompetence and failures to help Georgina.
Big time.
And those include failed responses to her absconding,
Staff training.
The failure to manage the risk of attempts on her own life and self-harm, inadequate risk assessments, is that right? Inappropriate grants of leave, the discharge we've just spoken about when, in your mind,
They should never have discharged her.
Thank you. And then the matters we've covered in terms of safety on the ward and security and the drug issues.
Yeah.
I want to take a look now with you at the recommendations that you have put down in your witness statement. And you can look at them if you want to. They start at page 15 and paragraph 74. So the first, Anne, is, I think we might call it your headline point, and that is what?
That the Linden Centre should be closed down.
Yes.
There's many deaths up there since Georgina died, and it's always on the news. It's in the newspapers. I mean, how is this happening to young children?
Yes. And one of the things that I think you and I have discussed, or discussed with you and your husband, is that to you it is particularly painful, given that Georgina's life ended 20 years ago now, to be here 20 years on, giving this evidence.
And nothing's happened at all. They promised that we're going to change. Nothing's happened. Nothing.
You next, looking at paragraph B on page 16, go on to say that you think that staff should be accountable for their actions.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, obviously, if they'd been observing her or going in and talking to her, they'd be able to put a point forward. They didn't, because they didn't go in there.
Yes.
All they were was in that room over there. I could take you to the room right now.
Yes.
It stayed in my mind so badly. But they didn't monitor her properly. Well, I don't think they did anyway.
No. Thank you. And then, really importantly, one of the things you say is that there must be recognition of the vital role that a patient's family play in helping with their treatment.
They should be informed. The family should be informed. That way they could give an opinion or
Yes.
say this happened or that happened. Can you help her?
Yes.
Or him, whatever. But obviously that didn't happen.
And where there is a supportive family like yours, you would have been able to identify past events or trigger points. You'd be able to tell them if your input was, if somebody was asking you, you would have been able to share with them what things might be particularly
Or what to look out for.
Yes.
Yeah, but they didn't. They didn't ask us anything.
Yes. You say here, had the team worked with us from the beginning, we could have helped build a clearer picture of Georgina's needs and risks. Instead, she was kept in isolation without the benefit of the insight, context and support that we as her family could have provided.
The only support she got was from the
That's all right.
patients inside the Linden Centre.
Many of whom were very unwell themselves, obviously.
Exactly. So they all give their opinion, but you don't know whether it's a right opinion or a wrong opinion.
Yes.
We would have given her a right opinion, being her mum and dad. But
Yes.
I can't answer that.
I understand. The sadness for you and your husband, I think, is that you were there to provide it. You were there to
Oh,
provide
yeah. Oh,
the
yeah.
background and the help.
Absolutely.
And then, Anne, just going over the page to the top of page 17, the other thing, and I think we have covered this, is that thinking about the fact that Georgina was able to hurt herself on the ward, able to abscond pretty freely, it seems, that patients were able to bring drugs into the ward, your baseline view about that is that staff should be better trained.
Well, they should be better trained. They'd know what to look for, wouldn't they? I mean, if you was told something, wouldn't you know what to look for?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. I think they're all mad. Or I think they're mentally disturbed.
And I think I've come to the end of my questions for you, and I know that we're going to we're going to show some photos of Georgina.
Okay.
But before I ask for those to be put up, thank you for your evidence today. Is there anything else that you would like to say now?
No, just about the Linden Centre. I'm very, very disappointed and hurt with the Linden Centre.
Yes.
I mean, Dr. A was very, very good. I'll say that. He was good. But they obviously didn't listen to him either, and the length of time it took them when she went missing to inform him, for him to say, inform the missing persons.
Activate the missing persons protocol.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's pretty disgusting. I really do.
Yes.
And I feel sorry for anybody that puts their child in the Linden Centre. I feel for them, because I know what they're going to go through.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think what we're going to do now is I'm going to ask for the photos to go up, and then we'll take a break, and I'll see whether there are any further questions for you, either from your lawyers or from others. And if there aren't, you'll be free to go.
Okay.
So could I ask that we have the 4 photos of Georgina now, please? Is that your son, Tony?
Yeah. Yeah. They were quite close.
Yes.
And that's what we used to call her, Baby G.
Baby G.
Georgina.
Yes. Thank you.
Mrs. Sefton, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for listening.
No, I'm very appreciative of the efforts.
I'm really
you've
grateful
put in.
you've listened, and I'm sure you've taken it in, knowing you.
I've remembered it, don't worry.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
And thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Anne. Chair, I think as long as you're content, we'll rise now. We'll see whether there are any other questions for Anne, and then if not, we'll be back at 2 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.